the term cultural Marxism could be better applied to the right wing today than the left wing. The left wing is trying to defend their entrenched positions. They have a train, right? This train is headed toward Progressville, and they define progress as more gay rights, more tranny rights, more black rights, more Jew rights, more mestizos, more brown people, less white people. That is the train. That's the direction. And they're merely trying to keep the train on time. They're merely trying to keep everything pushing forward in the same direction. In that sense, they are psychological conservatives. And this is why I have at some points seen myself as a liberal or a progressive, because I looked around and I said, well, the world is getting more atheistic, the world is getting more liberal, the world is getting more gay friendly, it's getting less religious. And so in my conservatism, in my own psychological conservatism, I identified as a progressive because I saw that was the direction things were going in, and I wanted to be on the winning side of history. Most people want to be on the winning side, right? So that is the default. We want it to be exactly as it is forever, and please, liberals, don't change it any further to the left. Just keep it as it is. Just keep it as it is. You have so-called conservatives defending gay marriage, and they're not wrong in that sense. That gay marriage at this point is a conservative position. It's a conservative position. And so all the church ladies and all the teenage girls who want a social signal, they're going to be pro-gay marriage because they have a conservative mindset. And if you want to go to the extreme of it, the extreme male mind, the only women who are interested in revolutionary politics are generally autistic, or they have Asperger's, or they're antisocial. So if you have some kind of difference in your brain that causes you to cut off from other people because you're antisocial, you just don't understand social cues very well, so that whole system of social signaling is not going to apply to you as strongly. I think that's why a woman like Ayn Rand, if you just look at, she's a very cold woman, very unemotional woman, and therefore she was able to engage in some form of right-wing politics, although I don't agree with her politics at all. You can at least see how she was anti-egalitarian, even though she was in the Soviet Union and then she came to America, and they're both egalitarian ideologies in both countries, and she revolted against that. So, you can have a revolutionary woman, but these women are very cold. They're not maternal. They don't have children. And the men who are divorced from social signaling are going to, oftentimes, you're going to look at them and they're going to be loners. They're going to be people without children, people without wives, because in very real terms, your ability to socially signal, your ability to rack up social trust within your community, that directly correlates to your ability to gather resources, to earn money, to support your family, to keep your wife happy. So men who are attached in this way are going to be inhibited in their role as revolutionaries, which is why if you have any revolutionary movement, if you have a pro-white movement, then people at the top of that necessarily will have to be, they'll either have to be without a family, or they will have to neglect their family. And that's just kind of the way it is. The only way to reverse that situation is if you seize control of the state, and then the revolutionaries become the new conservatives, and then they can extract resources and feed their families and do everything they need to do. But yeah, cultural Marxism is just such a, to me, it's the wrong term to use. It's the wrong term to use. If anything, really, you should be saying that these are anti-white conservatives, and their opponents are revolutionary or pro-white revolutionaries. I think that's a much better paradigm. And the whole term cultural Marxist, it has this anti-communitarian aspect, this anti-collectivist aspect to it, which implies that to defeat cultural Marxism, we have to be cultural individualists, which is exactly the opposite of what the solution is. The solution is you identify collectively, you band together, and that's a force multiplier when people team up and they use team. I mean, didn't you guys learn this in third grade about sharing and teamwork? And didn't you watch your Saturday morning cartoons? I don't get it. I don't get where this individualism comes from. To me, it's cowardice. To me, individualism is cowardice. It's saying that, well, you know, other people are not perfect, and I don't agree with other people 100%, and therefore I'm just going to give up and not even try to collectively organize. The collectivist aspect of Marxism was why it succeeded, or part of why it succeeded, and that should be emulated, right? So there's so much that can be taken from Marxism that is successful. The correct strategy is to learn what has made Marxism so successful, what has allowed it to become a world-conquering force. Egalitarianism, what has made it so successful? Well, collective identification with your own ethnic group is a very powerful thing. You know, the civil rights movement proved that. Jewish emancipation proved that. Right now, demographics in America, where whenever a state turns bluer and bluer, that is proof of this theory. So to embrace that, to embrace it, to embrace a revolutionary spirit, to understand the consequences of a revolutionary attitude, to understand the demographics as a result of the psychology of revolution, what demographics you need, what demographics will just naturally arise, and to make peace with that, and not to always worry, why don't we have enough women, or why can't we get old people? Literally, even if you are in your 40s, you are probably too old. You are probably past your time. It's probably time to retire. Um, Now, of course, me saying that isn't going to change the situation, but young people, don't worry about what older people think. They're set in their ways. They have a conservative mindset, and conservatism will not save you. It will not save your children, and it won't save your grandchildren. At this point, the system is stacked against you. The billionaire class is against you. Every government, every company, every corporation, every church is against you. Every non-government organization, every charity is against you. You have no institutions. You are not the mainstream. Conservatism will not help you. It is not on your side. Don't be pulled into this. Don't think, well, if we just take a softer approach, well, if we just take kind of be nice, just compromise everything. No, that is not how revolutions start. And that's certainly not how revolutions succeed. You have to learn, how did communism succeed? How did egalitarianism succeed? It had a revolutionary attitude, and it embraced collective identities, both ethnic and even gendered identities, the feminist movement. So you have to embrace that. If you don't embrace that, you are doomed to become irrelevant and powerless. And those who are powerless do not have the ability for self-defense. If you hide out in the woods of individualism with your log cabin of logic and reason, and you huddle up with your blankets of rationality, you know, and you throw some logs of conventionalism into the fires of conservatism, and you warm yourself by the fire, and you say, I'm just gonna kind of huddle myself up in here, and I'm gonna wait it out. I'm gonna wait it out in my forest, away from all those evil people out there. Just leave me alone. Don't tread on me. Leave me alone. If you do that, you are making yourself a sitting duck. if you are not gaining power, you are losing power relative to the rest of the world, because while you're sitting there doing nothing, all your enemies are off investing. They are reaping the benefits of their investments, and they are gaining power relative to you. So the day will come when the bulldozers come through the forest and they're smashing down the trees, just like that scene from Avatar. Just think the military's rolling in, they just steamroll everything down, and there's your little log cabin. And you say, "No, don't tread on me," and they just bulldoze you over. That's what's going to happen if you don't collectively organize. If you don't identify with a collective identity, then you are doomed. You are gone.